Who is the king of the Old Granddad Bourbon lineup? Well, today we're putting that entire OGD lineup to the test, and we're going to do it blind. That means the brand new 7-year-old Bottle-in-Bond, the everyday Shelfer Bottle-in-Bond OGD 114, and the 16-year-old release from last year. They're all going head-to-head, and I won't know which one's which. So if you want to know which is the best of the quartet, make sure to stick around to the end of the video to find out that answer. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Brandon Spinner, the Whiskey Weatherman, and you have stormed yourself into the one YouTube channel where it is always whiskey weather and where the forecast is always pouring. Now, if you are new here and you're a fan of bourbon and whiskey, I'm building a community full of great folks who love great pours as well as honest bourbon and whiskey reviews. So if that sounds like your thing, would love to have you aboard. Make sure to hit that subscribe button below and let's keep that storm rolling. As I mentioned off the top, today's forecast, as I like to call it, is all about Old Granddad, one of the most iconic brands in bourbon history, dating all the way back to the 1800s, specifically 1882, and then was purchased by the Jim Beam family back in 1987, and that's who produces it now. Now, a fun fact, this old man on the bottle, that is actually Basil Hayden Sr., which was the old granddad of Colonel R.B. Hayden, who named his bourbon Old Granddad after his old granddad. Now, all of these OGDs are coming from the exact same mash bill, which is a high rye mash bill comprised of 63% corn, 27% rye, and 10% malted barley, all distilled and bottled by Jim Beam, which now goes by James B. Beam Distilling Company. And because we are doing this as a blind review by myself, we're going to use this fancy device called a solo blind from my guy Chris over at Whiskey Noobs, which is going to take away any chance of me knowing what is what. Now, as I mentioned, today's contenders are the entire OGD lineup. We've got the new 7-year that dropped earlier this year, but we're going to go in order of left to right on this one. The first one is the Old Granddad Bottle-in-Bond Bourbon. This is 100 proof. It's got an MSRP right around $25. You should be able to find this in most places under $30. Now, this is 4 years old because it is a Bottle-in-Bond. Should be right around that 4-year-old mark. Now, from the right side, we've got the brand new Old Granddad 7-year-old Bottle-in-Bond that was released earlier this year. As is in the name, it is 7 years old. It does have a little bit higher of a price tag of around an MSRP of $39.99 to about $45, depending on where you can find it. And that is going to be checking in most places across the country. It's supposed to be an everyday shelfer. It's a little bit higher of a price than its younger brother over here. So we're just going to put the 7-year here on this one. And we're going to do the regular BIB on this one. So you see that? It goes into this one. That's where we poured up the regular. Here goes the 7-year. Yeah! Can we get it in there? Cool. I'm a perfectionist. I would normally cut that out in the video, but because we are doing this in a blind, and I want you to know the integrity of the entire video, try not to take up too much of your time. Well, if we could get the plastic off, Brandon, this would be great. Next up is the old tried and true. Man, you guys can make fun of me in the comments if you want. Why is there no perforated edge on this one? There we go. Old Granddad 114. As it says in the name, 114, that means it's 114 proof. Has to be at least 4 years old because it is considered a Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Now, this is about $32.99 for an MSRP. I've seen it around me here in Northern Kentucky, ranging from $19.99 to about $40. A lot of people call it the best value on the bourbon market. So if you haven't tried it already and you can find it for under that $20 price range, grab it. But it's supposed to be right around 100, not 100, 114 is the name. It's supposed to be right around that $32.99 price tag. And then finally, the oldest of all the old granddads, and that is Old Granddad 16-year. As it says in that name, it is a 16-year-old. This one also comes in at 100 proof. It was last year's special release. This does have a hefty price tag of $199.99. So 16 years old, we're going to put that in here. Now here's how this all works. All the Glens have the lightning bolt label pointed up front. We put this in this fancy, snazzy solo blind kit, if I can get it to stick in. That's what she said. So they're now all covered up. I know the table's rickety, Michael. Don't comment about it. and then we give it a spin. I like to let it spin a few times and then spin it one more time, wait a little bit, let her stop, and get going. So I'm going to put all the bottles over here to get that out of the way. We are going to put this here, and let's get down to business. So we're going to label this A, B, C, and D. So when we refer to these in just a little bit, that's the order that we're going to go in. Going to place this off camera because we don't need it anymore. Thank you, Chris, for sending that my way. You can find those on his website. But when they are in stock for right around, I think, 80 bucks is what I paid for it. So let's get to work. Real quick, before we wrap up this video, let's talk about something we have all dealt with before. Hangovers. If you're a fan of bourbon, I'm going to venture a guess you've woken up with a rough morning or two. I know I've had a lot more than I care to admit. Until recently, because of these lifesavers right here. I present you Hang Light Gummies. They're packed with stuff like DHM and milk thistle, which help your body bounce back quicker after a night full of drinking to give yourself better mornings and days after. These are all natural ingredients, no chemicals, that support liver health as well as limit that brain fog the next day. Not gonna lie, ever since I have gotten these, I have not woken up once with a hangover, no headaches, no grogginess, just a little bit of tired because I didn't get to bed at the right time. If you did want to give these a try, there is a 10% off code in the link in the description below. Just use code Brandon10. That'll get you that 10% off. Now let's get back to talking about bourbon. Glen A. Certainly has that OGD nose. Man, it's sweet. Got a lot of brown sugars, some caramels, some oak, a little bit of peanuts. Sample A, very nice nose. Sample B. This has a little more oak. It's not quite as sweet, but I get a few more of those dark fruits. A is certainly lighter. B is much darker. I think I would prefer A out of the two so far when it comes to the nose, but they're both pretty nice. This one's the most tannic so far. There are some brown sugars, some maples to it. Now, 3 of the 4 I know are 100 proof and 1 is 114. So theoretically, you should be able to taste the difference just because of the proof difference. However, that may not be the case. I've never done this blind before, so we're about to go find out. That has more of like a chocolate caramel brownie note to it. This smells slightly younger. This just seems much more developed. I think I like A the best. It's got a little bit of those sweet cherries that I like. And let's see how 4 is. Oh, that is certainly darker and nuttier. It's certainly got that bean peanut note to it. Man, those are all pretty good noses. Between them all, okay, I think I like 3 over 4, or C over D. I think D is a bit more muted, and to me B is slightly better than it. Now compared to, oh yeah, that is no contest. There's a whole lot more of those darker fruits, but it's a little bit brighter, if that makes sense. A little bit more sweetness to it. There's a little more of an earth tone to it. The rest of them get a little darker. I think I prefer A, C, B, and D. So we're going to go A, C, B, and D on the nose. Now let's see how they taste. We're not going to do what my normal lightning counter score would be because it's just way too hard and too many different variables with the proof as well as the value on some of these because some of them range from $19.99 all the way to $200. So let's see, honestly, is if this $200 bottle is actually better than the $20 bottle. A. while on the nose it was good, not 100% thrilled by how it tastes on the palate off the bat. First jump. Very oaky, very bitter, very tannic, which makes me think that it might be the 16 year. But it's got a harshness to make me think that that is a younger whiskey. Now you guys can see it because I've already edited this and thrown up the bottles as I've been sipping on them, but I have no clue what the hell each one is. So far, I would say that the nose is fantastic. That doesn't drink anywhere close to how it smells. See, now this drinks as a lower proof. There's like a peanut brittle along with like a banana nut note, like a banana nut bread on number 2. Is really what I'm getting out of the 2. This one's got more of like a banana nut bread, more of like a sweeter fruit flavor. This one is just dark and tannic. There's a little bit of cherry, but I really can't get, almost kind of like tastes like I'm biting some tree bark out of that one. This one, yeah, banana nut bread. This was my 3rd favorite nose, but so far, I think overall, it's better than A when it comes to the drinking experience. C, let's see what this one brings us. Oh, that is definitely way better. More brown sugars, there's a little bit of a maple component to it. I still get a little bit of that banana nut breadiness out of it. It's actually pretty good. Of the 3, I think so far off the initial sip, C was my favorite of the first 3 that we did. Oh yeah, a lot more caramels. There's just more of a full-bodied feel to that. I will say that there is a slightly tannic end to it, but nowhere near what I got off the A. I think C so far is the winner if we had to pick between those 3. But this is a blind to 4 bourbons, Brandon. And before I forget, if you haven't hit that like button below, would love you to do that. And if you are a fan of what I'm doing so far and a fan of the Whiskey Weather YouTube channel, there's a new feature called the Hype feature, which if you are watching on a cell phone, down below, if you swipe where that bio or the info is below, you can get to the Hype button. Hit that Hype button. It helps smaller YouTube channels like myself get pushed into the algorithm. So if you love this channel, I would love your support with that as well. Now let's see how letter D is and see which one of the 4 we'll choose. Very similar to the nose. There's not as much flavor that comes through. If I had to guess, I would hope that this is the regular Bottled-in-Bond because it is the youngest and it is the cheapest of the 4. The experience on 4 is fine, but it's not like a wow factor to me. Yeah, that nose hasn't even really opened up. A, clearly the better nose of those 2. Yeah, B is just way darker. Yeah, D is like a muted version of all of these when it comes to the nose. It doesn't drink that hot either, so my guess is that is not the 114. Yeah, I think that is my least favorite of those. I think we go CBAD when it comes to the palate. So CBAD. On the finish, man. There's just something I don't like about A. Very bitter on the back end. It's not like, and let's be real, these are against each other. I think A's got a lot of flavor there. It's just, it's really bitter and dark. I still get that banana nut bread off of B. Although the finish is a little short on B. I think A has a slightly better finish. Now C's a little earthier to me. There's a whole lot more on that finish, that's for sure. That one finishes a lot hotter, and this one had a finish that really fell off. Yeah. When it comes to the finish, we're going to go with C, B, D, A. Now, if it was just off of the smell, I think I would choose A. However, I think C is going to be my winner. B is second, D is third, and fourth is letter A. That is going to be the official ranking. So C, B, D, and A. So now for the moment of truth. Can we get a drum roll? Oh, wow. In dead last is the 16 year, OGD 16. So for $200, that nose is incredible. However, I just think it's quite tannic. And that's why last year it actually finished in one of my top 5 most disappointing bottles of bourbon and whiskey of 2024, which you can check out that entire video. I have that linked in the description below, but it's also linked up there on the top right of your screen. So D, I said I thought that this was the bonded. If I had to guess, it's 114, the 7, the bib, and then I was going to say I thought that just through the way it tasted, that did have so much tannins to it, that 16. And that also makes me wonder how tanniny and how dark the oak would have been had they not cut it down to 100 proof. So in third place, letter D, is the 7 year. Wow, that is the 7 year. It didn't have a whole lot to it. Like the nose compared to the rest was actually very muted. It didn't have a ton of flavor, and I thought the palate was a little bit more lackluster. And the finish was decent, but altogether, wow. So we go to 16. I put that back, didn't I? The 7. That means that it's down to the bib or the 114. I think this drank slightly hotter. It also had a little bit more flavor to me. However, this was darker, so I wouldn't be surprised. It's the bib, though. So the Bottle and Bond. That means the winner of the 4 is the Old Granddad 114. Now, I do think that this had a leg up because of the higher proof, but still, it had a lot more flavor to it. It had a whole lot more viscosity. The nose was still just on par with the 16 year. I do think that this has some slightly older whiskey in it, at least comparative to the bib. I don't know if it's up towards the 7. I didn't really look at the entire specs of the 114, and that was a fresh pop as well. So some might call that a neck pour, and that still beat them all. Now, if you did enjoy this video, again, I ask you to hit that like button below. I am really surprised by this, and I want to know if you guys were surprised by this as well. I did not expect this to go into the order that it did, which just shows you why blind reviews are really the best way to go, at least in my opinion. I would love to say that this video was sponsored by one of my Patreon members, Chris Hoover, because his name is literally Old Granddad, basically, on my Discord. So if you want to join the Discord below, you can hit that link in the description below as well. But he's one of my Patreon members. I've got a ton of amazing and wonderful Patreon members, over 1,000 in my YouTube channel, as well as Patreon member crew, which I call the Storm Chasers. You can join them on the right side of your screen through the link in the description below. They get first access to barrel picks. They get members only merch, as well as member only reviews. And also, sometimes they get some of these videos out ahead of time. So if that's something that interests you, you want to help support the channel or join the Storm Chaser crew, I have those links in the description below. And also, they get first access to barrel picks. I have some banger barrels dropping between now and the end of 2025. So if you did enjoy this video and you got a lot of value out of it, and you haven't hit that subscribe button below already, make sure to do that. If you liked this blind review, you're going to love that blind review where last year I blinded 5 different high-proof wheated bourbons, and you're not going to believe which one came out on top. I'll end this the same way I always do. Remember to please drink responsibly. It is always whiskey weather, and we'll see you in that blind wheated review. Cheers, y'all.